So we talked about North Carolina's win today over NC State, and Roy said this on I think it was a podcast or something, but he said, "quote He's the right person for the job. It makes me cringe the way people are talking about Hubert Davis. We've had tough moments this year, but I'd love for it to turn around so I can look at all those suckers and tell them to shut up." End quote from Roy Williams. Tyler, I know, is going to have an opinion on that. Jeff Goodman, you brought that up a minute ago. Do you agree with Roy?
Well, first of all, let me say, like, Roy's in a no-win situation here when he's asked about it because, Hubert's his guy, right? I mean, so what's he going to say? What's he going to say at this point? So you're putting him in a really difficult spot. And I love Roy. I respect the hell out of Roy. I don't agree with Roy on this one. I think Hubert does have a lot to prove here going forward. And I think he'll get one more year to show whether he's the right guy for this job because, frankly, he's been there for now almost 4 years. And 3 of the 4 years at this time of the year, they were on the bubble. Yeah. 3 of the 4. Yeah. Last year was the only year where they were locked in and they had an unbelievable regular season. Remember, like the year they went to the title game, they were kind of on the bubble this time of year. And then they beat K on K night, right? And I was there, and then everything kind of flipped. So I still think he's got something to prove, and I think it starts with the offseason. I think you give him an offseason if you're Bubba Cunningham, and you might have him make some staff changes. You probably have him, as it sounds like, hire a chief of staff, general manager, whatever the hell you want to call it, and you figure out what you do in the portal because – frankly, that's where they went wrong with this year's team. They didn't get a big out of the portal, and that can't happen.
They got a talent issue. I mean, that's clearly what's been going on. Tyler, Roy was adamant, and he said, "I want to tell those suckers that they're wrong." Maybe the general manager is what they need. I mean, maybe they just need somebody to help and let Hubert just coach and let somebody construct the roster and deal with the boosters and all that kind of stuff. I know the boosters have been put in timeout with the Bill Belichick stuff, the board. But, what's your thoughts on Roy and how passionate he is about Hubert getting this done?
Well, I'll just say, first of all, I'm not disagreeing with Coach Williams. I just want to say that before I say anything. I'm still nervous about pissing off Coach. But I will say that.
Even at your age. How old are you, Tyler? Yeah. How old are you now?
39. It's amazing, Jeff. It never goes away.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter.
But that said, I will say on a serious note, anybody who's coaching UNC right now, if Coach Williams was in that seat, he would still be getting criticized for the season that he's having. And I think the front court situation has been a big excuse and taken a lot of the blame for the lack of guard play as well. I think all across the board, this team has not played well. And there's been some times that have been some reoccurring issues that we've seen repeated in games and games. Early on in the year when you watch us play, we would start the games out very not ready to play. And just to put it politely, it's almost like we sleepwalk our way through the tip-off. And we'd get in these huge deficits. And then we'd do the same thing game after game after game. You look, we got down big against Kansas. We got down big against Dayton. We got down big against Michigan State. And then, fast forward conference play, you're getting down big at Cameron and all these things. And you can't expect to be a competitive team against top-tier talent and just dig these big holes. And, I don't really have the answer. I don't know if the GM situation's really going to smooth things out and make it everything okay. I will say what I expect as a former player, I expect our team to play hard every single game. And there's been times where I felt like the body language hasn't been great, and that's been very upsetting as a former player. I'd like to see our kids play hard every single game and start the game prepared. And I know that we're not the most talented Carolina team that's hit the floor this year, but we could be the hardest playing team. And I really feel like a lot of our struggles this year, come from, I I would say we said we wanted to play fast. Well, we didn't really commit to playing with a pace all the time. And then when you get into that half-court set, our half-court offense has not been great. And it just looks like we were just, go on one-on-one ISO ball, dribble into a defensive gap, kick it back out to another guard, let them try to do the same thing, and then kick it back out to the guard, wave out the big for, high pick and roll, and then we'd hemorrhage up a bad contested three-point shot. Which was frustrating. But, I think that the problem is there's not a lot of time to turn it around in the ACC because it's such a down year. And, we're going to have our chances. The problem is there's going to be so much pressure to win these next games and then beat arguably the most talented team in college basketball on our home court, which is Duke, which is a rival, which you can, the odds are against us, and especially the way we played at Cameron. But in Coach Davis's defense, last year we were number 1 seed in the tournament. I think his first year we went to the national championship game. I think the problem with a lot of fans that we're having is it's been peaks and valleys. It hasn't been the consistency that we're used to. And, I don't know. There's been a lot of blame on the NIL part, not having money, not being able to compete with like the SEC, the conference, and the money that they're giving kids. I will just say that the NIL doesn't make up for the lack of playing hard, a little bit of offensive organization, defensive organizations. All that is the frustration from some of the fan base. And when you're coaching North Carolina or any one of these big blue blood schools, you've got to be able to take that criticism and just ignore it and keep coaching, because you can't have the record at one of these schools and expect not to get criticized.
100%. You mentioned the general manager job, which I think it's going to help. I really do. I think Hubert, needs some of that portion of the job taken off of him. Do you think that, should a former player be in that role, Tyler? Would you, for example, be interested in being the GM? What do you think?
No.
He's shaking his head.
RC's laughing at. Listen, I'm
Hell
not qualified to be a GM. I don't manage money, and I will say what I do like about this is a GM job. What I would like is a guy that can come in there that can recruit the portal and already know players that are going to fit the style that we want and have the budget lined out. I'm not qualified to have the experience to really deal with that.
Tyler, you know what I would like though? I would like for you to be the general manager for one day, and then you talk to a kid and he tells you, "Oh, I want $1 million," and you're gonna be like, $1 million for what? To hear your response.
Yeah.
To hear your response when some kid that averages 8 and 6 says he's a big man, wants to come to Carolina for $1 million. That's what I want.
You soft, Tyler.
That would be my
you
wish.
soft right? You soft MFer. I'm not giving you more than $10.
Have you lost your mind?
I just say, click.
That's probably
the name I've heard. Childers, the name I have heard, I'm sure Tyler's heard it as well. A name that's been thrown out there that could be the GM is Buzz Peterson, former Carolina player. He's been in the NBA for a while with Charlotte, with Michael Jordan. I would say this. My biggest thing would be it's got to be somebody who's very connected to the money people, number one. You better be connected to the money people in that school and the boosters. But you also, I don't know if you want to be that removed from college as well. Like Buzz has been gone for a while. I don't know who I pick, but to me, there's got to be some changes made with the staff, and again, you just can't let that happen again. But I thought that was Tyler. I was impressed. I'm impressed with how you broke that down, because you didn't Roy Williams it. That's for damn sure. You didn't Roy it, and I'm proud of you for. And again, I understand you guys are in tough spots with this, and but you're also one to speak your mind.
But that's the other part of it, Jeff, that I say we're talking about money aspect with Carolina, and they'll figure that out. Let's be clear, Carolina has money.